Hello everyone, this is Jonathan Murr, the Hometown Historian channel. We're doing a little Country Roads Take Me Home. I'm actually coming back from, I had to go and take some stuff out to Campbelltown to get my van clear because I got a landscape job I'm trying to get done this weekend. We'll see, sort of like, I just started working again just a little bit. My friend Josh got me in at a cool place. I think I talked about it already, called the Event Collective, and it's working out really well because I'm only able to do so much yet. But I'm definitely feeling stronger. When you haven't really worked for like 10 and a half months, you lose a lot of strength. You wouldn't think it, but you do, and sort of took a little while to get used to it, but I'm feeling good. I did 5 hours yesterday. I'm still not doing, like, right around 10-ish, and then doing some little side jobs to help some friends out with their properties, which helps out as well financially, and it also has helped me. I just don't do well when I'm out in the sun, so I had to clear the van because I gotta get a wheelbarrow in here and then get the stone in my van. I get bags of stone and I gotta put them back in, and then go over and try to get some of the stone done in some of the flower beds, and then try to get the mulching done as well. But sort of bad timing to do it because normally you like to do that stuff early, just because when you do it at this time of year, everything's up. I got to put some weed tarp down, so it makes it a little bit more difficult, but I wasn't able to do it before now just because of being in a cast and all that kind of stuff. But anywho, so we'll find out more with the leg and that type of stuff on Tuesday, what direction we're going to go, because I'm going to have to get a foot surgery, which is basically like a minor, well, I wouldn't say minor, but it's an outpatient, I believe, maybe at most a day in there. But we got to figure that out. Potentially may wind out getting it closed up then, but we'll see what happens, because it broke down because I got cellulitis in my system, and this last bout with bronchitis was probably the most brutal I've had in 15 or 20 years. So that's sort of anything else. Your system's so beat down that if you do have anything in your system, like say a little bit of latent cellulitis, that comes out like a roaring lion, and it certainly did that. But thankfully it didn't turn into anything else. So feeling good, just, good tired. Just, I got to watch myself and pace myself. But I had to clear the van out and then pick up some medicine in Palmyra. Now on my way back. So I wanted to explain a couple of things. One of which is that the reason I've sort of been holding off on videos is I'm in the middle of trying to figure out all this Google AdSense crap. They really do make it as difficult as they possibly can. Basically, how you get paid off of YouTube is YouTube does not pay you directly. They go through Google AdSense is what it's called. So with the help of Josh and Cliff, I think I have most of it figured out. There's still a couple things I got to figure out, so I got to watch a couple YouTube videos that sort of guide you through the process, because I'm still having a problem with like the address, or the website, I guess you'd say, web address, that if you go to share, like for instance my YouTube page, they don't want to accept that. Apparently there's something else. One of the pages Josh and I got on, they had one, but you couldn't go onto it to copy and paste, because then that would just solve the problem, because that's the one they're accepting. But they're very non-specific about it, and all of a sudden other things are popping up, and it's like, okay, well, I got that filled out, now I got this next thing filled out. Now it's just a matter of verifying my bank and all this other nonsense, because I really don't, even though it's only a couple dollars per video or something like that at most, I don't want to be, personally, I don't really feel like giving YouTube anything more while they're making this process really difficult. So that's the only reason I'm holding off, because Cliff Lewis and I filmed last Saturday. We hit the Lights Fort, which is probably, I'm going to do that in 2 parts. Talk a little bit more about the history myself with some pictures and things like that. because we filmed them. I had to film them separately because my old camera, which I've been using on the channel to this point, is just finally reaching its point of death. Kindly, Cliff gave me his Google Pixel. So it's basically the same camera, except it doesn't die. So that's what I'm actually using right now. And I had to use my other phone, so I'm not sure what the quality is, because I'm still having issues with the professional film camera, if you want to call it that. At some point, that's the camera I want to be having out, just simply because, I have a stand that my dad had when he did national match shooting. I like to sit on that thing because it's comfy and it's good for my back, and it just fell over. Chuck was now angry because he got slapped by my bench. But anyways, so once that stuff's solved, I'll be moving forward with more videos and stuff like that. And I'm sort of, because I'm getting myself back into work, I'm trying not to push myself too hard with trying to go out and do videoing, except here and there. So it's probably going to be sometime in June, and I'm also, depending on where things go with the foot surgery, because I think they're looking at waiting a little bit, because I have been so sick. They want my health to be a little bit better before we attempt something. And if it would get to the point where I would have to have that transmetatarsal surgery, if none of these things work, that's probably 4 or 5 months down the road. So, you know, we're heading in the right direction. I got to get the stuff with my esophagus checked out and my lungs, because there's some kind of issue with I had told the story a couple times, but I had somebody mix chemicals on me. They mixed ammonia and chlorine based chemicals with industrial chemical. Back then in early 2000s, they would have ammonia, chlorine be sort of the base chemical on which they made their industrial chemical. And usually it was a chemical that was, I guess you could say, your basic surface cleaner or glass cleaner. It just depended on what it was. And we had a chemical called Fastball, and it had reached shelf date where the chemicals start to separate. Your household chemicals are a much smaller percentage of chemical, and then the majority of it's a diluent. Whereas with industrial chemicals, they're usually 85 to 90%. I don't know what this guy's doing. It should be interesting. Still not going. They're going nuts with tar and chipping roads right now. I was telling Bob about it. It's like, I've never seen them tar and chip this many roads all at once. It's where they put, for those who are not familiar, they put like a tar down. They're supposed to put down a certain amount of tar and then a lesser amount of chips. So basically you're resurfacing the road. This is more like a gravel road. They put very little tar down and put a ton of chips, like little stone chips. And it's bad for your paint, for your vehicle, if they're not tarred down, because they go flipping up and like nailing the crap out of your vehicle, which Chuck doesn't care, because Chuck, like me, is not a handsome fella. But, you know, still, I'm sure it causes pain to Chuck, and I feel and empathize to his problem with me going all over these tar and chip roads. But regardless, I don't even know what I was talking about. This is what happens when you get old, folks. Sorry. But anyways, with all the stuff that's happening, it's like that. Everything's sort of in limbo right now. But I'm hoping at some point, as health gets better. Oh, I was talking about the thing where you mix the chemicals. You guys just got to see my brain in action. Very weird, very odd, forgetful, loses color. What was I talking about? But anyways, this chemical was supposed to be picked up, and we told them back then hazmat would just come in, pick it up at the back of your store, dispose of it for free, and it was no big issue. This idiot manager, educated and everything, I guess assumed that they were going to come in his store with hazmat suits, which we told him that wasn't what the case was. So he decided to basically, it's all the same type of cleaner, that it's all like surface cleaner. And so in his mind, you just, you know, dumped it in with the other thing, which is a huge no-no, and you never mix a base and an acid. You really should never touch chemicals. You should never even put something in a bottle that's empty, because you don't know what was in it previously, and whatever reaction, depending on the chemical, it could kill you. And unfortunately, in my case, this guy mixed this ammonia-based cleaner with a chlorine-based cleaner, and it burnt the crap out of my lungs. It's basically just a few little things away from being like a chlorine cloud. So it was very, very dangerous what he did. Didn't tell anybody. The other guy that worked with me eventually got it out of him. Never apologized to me or anything. And I was using it in an area that was not ventilated very well, because the employee restrooms, the fans had broken, and so most people get like a half an hour exposure to something like that. They pass out, your brain will asphyxiate, and you die. I had over an hour and a half of exposure. Now, it wasn't all at once, but I still don't remember it to this day what happened. I just know the lady that she got this weird chill, because apparently when I did the women's bathroom, I always would either whistle or sing some weird song. Door was open, but that way somebody wasn't like, oh, there's a weird guy in there. Well, there's a weird guy in there, but at least it wasn't as much of a shock, because they could tell by my singing that I was weird, and they knew I was weird if they knew me. But anyways, I don't remember it, but it basically seared my lungs, and I have a lot of scar tissue, so their concern is potentially some scar tissue came loose or something like that, and that might be part of what's causing my problem. But at least we're heading in the right direction. Like, somebody's actually listening to my lungs and they're like, oh, they sound fantastic. No, there's an actual problem there. So, which is, I was a dumb kid. I should have sued the crap out of Ames for that kind of stuff, but because it should have technically killed me. But anyways, regardless, that's just sort of the issues that we have right now, that depending on what everything, being put under, when I was put under with the surgeries, I was actually at a breathing tube, so that might have caused some problems. So it's a matter of just figuring out what's going on, what's causing the coughing issues, and occasionally I just get these times when I just throw up, and so it's just a matter of figuring stuff out. Like, it doesn't sound like it's anything major. It's just whatever's going on there needs to be resolved so I can move on with my life, and that's sort of where we're at. But with that, I have a lot of material that I have set up. It's just I'm editing right now, and hopefully it will only be, maybe a couple weeks, and we start getting to every other day, something of that nature. But there's good possibility as well. I would like to go to Union Canal Days this Saturday and Sunday, but with doing this work, I don't know if I'm going to have the energy. Plus, tomorrow it sounds like it's going to rain. It does sound like at least Lewis and I are going to probably go film at old Anvil Days on June 10th. So that'll be something. And like I said, I got to get back to a lot of people with emails and sort of catch that stuff up, because we got a bunch of other opportunities for some pretty neat videos and getting to visit some really neat places that we've had offers in that regard. And I got to get together with Millersburg Historical Association and the Ferry Association, because they sort of have cross membership in their boards, and try to see what we can set up. Cliff has already said with the Wandering Woodsman channel that he'll be there. Lewis sounds very interested, and I know a number of other channels as well. So hopefully we'll be able to get a number of YouTube content creator channel creators that will be there as well, and it'll be a cool event. So we'll see what all happens. And I just wanted to give you guys a quick update, because this is sort of where the channel is right now. I have a bunch of material I'm trying to put up, and I'm also trying to keep you guys updated so I'm still alive, and that we are working towards getting content back up. And I know you guys are all patient and all that as well, and you're sticking with us, but it's just, I still just want to keep you guys updated. And once again, thank you guys all for sticking with the channel, sticking with me. Just continue, if you guys could, your thoughts and prayers. I really do appreciate it, because I'm just looking forward to having some kind of resolution, and once this stuff is hopefully finalized and fixed, then I can really move the channel forward, because I want to go, obviously continue in this area in Lebanon Valley, But I would like to go well beyond that too, and visit a lot of different areas. And there's a lot of cool stuff out there. The history is out there, my friends. I say that with the channel, and it is out there. It's amazing how much is right around us. But as always, I will say thank you, and we will see you all about town. Hey everybody, so I wanted to add here at the end, why not getting confirmation? Cliff had contacted me because I forgot I apparently had said something. I know Lewis mentioned something when we were filming last Saturday about the Union Canal Days. Jan Morrissey from Lebanon County I think it's Historic Preservation Trust of Lebanon County. She had mentioned too about Union Canal Days coming up, and they have quite a bunch of cool events, including I think some reenactors and stuff like that. So there's a potential of rain tomorrow, like 50%, drippy here and there. So we're just going to go out and risk it, and go. That Cliff and I are going to go to that tomorrow on the 20th of May. So figured, why not go check it out, have some fun with that. I think all we're going to do is basically just checking out the different events, the different things they have there. They also have Jonestown Bank and Trust. It's their 150th anniversary, so there's a couple more neat things that you normally wouldn't have there that they have. Sort of seems like too this year that it's a little early, but one of the things I think I talked about earlier in the video, I know Lewis and I talked to Cliff, and Cliff said he'll be interested as well. When they have old Anvil Days, we filmed there a bunch about its history. We're going to go there as well as a group. I think that'll be a lot of fun, sort of hitting a number of these different things and all that. But I also wanted to add a thank you at the end. This is so freaking cool. Thank you, Kate. She sent this. Nothing like looking on the sunny side of things. I think that's what it says in here too. It's a cool message. It's like, may today be sunny side up. And Kate, as always. And thank you for the note inside here and also the gift. I want to say thank you to Kate and to Jason, as always, Patreon supporters of the channel to help us continue to go on. Every little bit helps to pay for gas, those types of things. And as I said earlier in the video, we're heading towards trying to get some of these things. I want to try to edit tonight the Lights Fort video because I want to add a little bit in, because I kept on talking about being one of the pages how I found out about the Historic Preservation Trust of Lebanon County holding the event for the 4 different buildings. It was on the Lebanon Conservancy page. So I mentioned at the beginning of that video the Lebanon Conservancy, and it's not who it is. So I'll wind out adding a video at the end. By the way, and it's going to be done in 2 parts because I had to do them on 2 different phones. And Josh found the videos. I just have to refine them and then figure out a way to either transfer or whatever. So we have, first off, the second part of the Lights Fort video. Jan takes us in the other side of the building that they're going to be doing a lot of work on. Gives us a bunch more information. There's also some really cool pictures. So that second part, I'm actually going to, Lebtown just did a video or a blog or an article on Lights Fort that goes a little bit more into their history. So I'm going to share some of that as well, and some of the pictures and things like that. So thanks to them. And I am also going to, on that phone is the one that I really, really liked out of all the videos. Just because the completeness of it. Like Monroe Valley Chapel is one of my 3 or 4 favorite places around. But it's pretty basic inside, which is how it would have been. Now, the Lindley Murray School never had been in that before. They had actually a lady that had gone there probably in like the 20s or 30s and sort of went through with them how it actually had looked at that time. Now, it's not the same exact setup as she had, but it's about as near as it would have been when that place was built in 1850. So you get to see a first-hand view of what an 1850s one-room schoolhouse would have been like. So I got to figure out how to get that video together. There's also a part of it that I might do separate. There's an older gentleman there with his wife that were the people that were the tour guides, if you will. And he came over and started telling some of his stories. And I've talked about how cool it is when the older folks, this older generation, that's unfortunately there's less and less of them there, they pass on. They have all these amazing stories about life, and his personal connection with H.B. Reese, for instance. I want to probably put that in a second video, and I may just do it. I think what I'm going to try to do, which I've never done before, is I'm going to try to do it with pictures and then just put his audio over top of it, because the video is sort of bland, because I don't think he realized I was filming at the time, but the stories were so neat. And it's just, those are the stories that need to be preserved. At the end of the day, they need to be preserved. And it's a look back into a different time. It's also a cool look, a personal account of what he thought of H.B. Reese and how he was as owner and a manager of a company. And what a neat guy that he had to have been. And how cool his kids were as well. And it's just why it was such a successful company. And you really think about it, like we talked a little bit in past videos, but H.B. Reese faced so much adversity. And just to stay upbeat, and really he was fighting in essence for him and his family's survival in a lot of ways. And, it's just a cool story. And just to hear those stories is really, really neat. So I'm adding this at the end just to talk about that. But I got to figure those things out. And because of everything with the AdSense, like they just finally got I got to verify my banking tonight. I'm sure it's not the last thing I got to do. But there's something else with the website that I got to watch a couple videos to figure it out. And then we're back to being monetized, which is what the purpose of that is. This isn't a weird thing, because some people get a little weird about it. It's not like, I'm not making much. But what I'm making right now is able to sustain a channel, and that's all I'm looking for at this stage. I'm not making anything off of this. The idea behind it is just to be able to pay for gas, to be able to, until the channel does become in essence a career potentially, with the essence of my, adding in the photography and those different aspects as well. That helps to support it and gives me something that I can do, that I can physically handle, and I don't have to kill myself trying to do something that I probably shouldn't. I'm pacing myself, but it's still like, depending on what happens with it. The channel, I say it a lot goes into this channel. I don't want to ever undermine my efforts, because I really put a lot into it. And you guys as viewers and subscribers put a lot into it as well. With the viewer submitted videos, folks like Colleen and Cheryl and Chris, Kim, Angela, Concerned Grandma, they've all sent me things. And if I've forgotten any of you with that, Kate has also sent me some stuff from Bellefonte. I said it correctly, Kate? I always say Bellefonte or Belafonte. She's like, it's Bellefonte. And, you don't think, and it's like, if you're from that area, you know exactly, because, how do you pronounce some of these other weird terms? So my Dutchy takes over, and I don't say things right, too, sometimes. And don't pronounce the words correctly, and people remind me, it's like, no, it's actually pronounced this way, and it's like, oops. But I'm corrected, and then from there on out, I try to be cognizant of that and correctly pronounce it, which still doesn't always happen, because my brain forgets, as you saw earlier in the video. But it really, a lot goes into the channel, but it is also at the same time, weirdly, my channel is a great example of being able to run a channel when there's a fluidity to it, and we're getting content out consistently when I'm healthy. It runs really, really nice. But the channel is a great example of being able to run something like this, like what Cliff does, for instance. I could never do that. Like what Cliff does, he really sets out a plan. He goes out to say, if he goes to Pittsburgh, he lays out a plan. He is going to hit all these things. The amount of research that goes into that, of knowing what's exactly in that area. He's going to hit, boom, A, B, C, D, E. And he has like 15 videos from a trip. It's extraordinary what Cliff does, is why he's able to do what he does, where consistent content and that type of stuff. And folks like Jay that have such an extraordinary visual eye and an understanding of how to film and how to edit. and just the mixture of music and photography and all the things that he does, that's what I aspire to. I know the physical aspect with like what Cliff does, I'm probably never going to be able to do again. There's things I'd love to be able to do, like I said about that bike riding type series. That might be something at some point in the future I'd be able to do. Right now, not going to happen. I'd like to do more hiking to different places, but I also got to look for opportunities like the Swatara State Park opens up the park, the Bear Hole Trail specifically, which is what goes by, no, I had another brain fart, the really cool cabin that we went to before, the Bordner cabin. I'd like to go out there again, but they open that up, I think, like, sometimes it's second and the fourth Friday, sometimes it's just the second Friday and Saturday. I think they open up the park at like 9 a.m., open till like 2 or 3 a.m. You can drive down through there, and there's areas where you can park to hit specific locations that have a little bit more import to them. And one of them is the Bordner cabin. So that's the way I'm going to be able to go see the Bordner cabin, because I have a friend, it's one of his favorite places. We're going to drive out there in the morning, and then maybe myself and Cliff or somebody else will go out through there to go and see it, because even though it's only like a 1.5-mile hike, it's at least right now, until everything's healed, where I don't have to worry about it breaking open. But even then, I sort of have to figure out what I physically can handle. And because I don't have a whole lot of feeling in either of my feet or my legs, I hurt myself and I don't realize it until I get home, take the shoe off, and oops. And then I'm back at square one. I could potentially get, every single time I get one of these, it could be an infection like osteomyelitis at best. Maybe cellulitis, I would say, at best. But I could get osteomyelitis, another amputation is going to be necessary. Or worse, I might not get like MRSA or I get sepsis like I had before and I could die. So it's something I had to really be smart about. You guys have always cautioned me, like, you got to take your time, we're cool. And I get that, but there's a part of you inside, too. I want to be able to go out and do things. But you also have to have the acceptance that I am disabled now, to a degree, or I am disabled. And the channel is a great example of what you can do with having disability and with having limitations. Even you say the fiscal limitations of saying I can only do so much. You guys have made a lot of things possible through donations and things like that as well. But it really is an example of doing more with less. Camera-wise, I think of a lot of times, which eventually we'll get over to the big boy camera once I can start understanding it truly. And that'll be better for the channel. It'll be clearer, crisper. The audio will be way better because it's got that exterior mic with the furry cover on it. Some poor wild beast suffered its fate to allow us to film its fake fur, I guess. But there's a lot in store for the channel. It's going to be very, very cool what we can do. And so we'll slowly work our way back, because once we get past these couple of physical issues, and once, we'll be able to start doing a lot. I have a lot of plans, a lot of things that I want to do. I would like to get the channel back to one long form video a day, and then like 2 or 3 shorts, depending on what I'm able to do. Because a lot of these shorts, I'm doing like these different series. I want to do a video that sort of announces the haunted history, because I've done a couple of the haunted stories, but that and Country Roads are probably our 2 most popular series. I'd like to start getting the haunted history stories, because I may wind out doing one this weekend, because I'm going to be down in Mount Joy. Tomorrow I won't be able to do it, because if I do go down to Mount Joy tomorrow, it's going to be the evening, and I'm not going to have enough time. But Sunday, if I have the time, there's a really cool haunted story down in Marietta, which is right down the road, down up against the Susquehanna. And there's a really cool graveyard there. And I think it's called the Hans Graf Cemetery. And there's a really cool haunted tale there. So I'd like to do that one, because the haunted tales, but I'd like to do the short forms, talking about the squonk and all those different things. And I'd like to also mention, which a number of the viewers are the one that brought this to my attention, the squonk. I think the reason that video did so well was because it has that connection to a Steely Dan song. It's something along like, have you seen the Squonk's Tears? Then something like, you'll understand mine, or you'll see mine. Because it's a very small area that this creature is. I guess it's like the northwestern woodlands, and a lot of the people that claim to have seen it have been like lumberjacks and that type of stuff, timber company type people. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming up. And I still have a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff filmed that I currently need to edit. I just need to add things on. I need to do a little bit more research on. I also have a number of, Colleen sent me a bunch of stuff that I can film. I still have some stuff from Cheryl and Chris from Sun Plus One. I also have some stuff from Kim, and I think I might have something from Angela yet. I got to look at what I have all, because I got to go through the emails. I also need to get back to a couple of these people. Stephen Doster, I believe I'm pronouncing your name right, Stephen. He has invited, and I just haven't, I can't do anything right now, but there's a church that the Grubb family built down near Renaissance Fair. It's, my memory's still not back, but it's an estate there. It's what their estate, because they were the first iron dynasty, if you will, in Pennsylvania. And there's a name for the estate. It's, I can't believe I can't think of the name, but it's where they do Renaissance Fair. And really neat there, but they built this church, this Episcopal church, Stone Episcopal Church, right near there. It's a really beautiful, beautiful Mount Hope Estate. But it's the Mount Hope Episcopal Church. And he was trying to get me in there to be able to check that out as well, because he had asked me about that when we did the St. Luke's Episcopal Church in Lebanon, if I had ever been there. I knew I had been by there, but I was actually thinking of a completely different church that's in that area. That's, I think, is another stone church, and wasn't even thinking of this actual church, because I had a friend that was out in that area, and that's how I used to go to her church or her house. And but anyways, so that's it. Spoke a little longer than I meant to, which is normal for me. But as always, I want to say thank you, and we will see you all about town.